Over 42 million of Americans are at risk that their SNAP benefits will be cut off.
Are going to be losing their resources of SNAP benefits. 42 million Americans.
This might be unpopular, but why do people keep having kids when they know they can't afford them?
Is how incredibly violent poverty is.
I'm just mad. I'm just fucking mad anymore.
1 in 5 kids in America is already food insecure, meaning they don't know where their next meal comes from.
America is sold to the world as the richest, most powerful nation on earth, a country where supermarket shelves are overflowing, where abundance is visible on every street corner, and where hunger is supposed to belong only to history books or distant places. Yet behind that image, behind the advertisements and political slogans, millions of American families are quietly slipping into food insecurity, not because they stopped working, but because the system stopped working for them. Today, hunger in America does not announce itself with famine or chaos. It arrives silently, disguised as smaller meals, skipped dinners, watered-down groceries, and parents who lie to their children by saying they already ate, when in reality there simply wasn't enough food to go around. This is a country where families are not choosing between luxury and comfort. They're choosing between groceries and rent, food and electricity, dinner and medication. And for millions, the only thing keeping hunger from becoming starvation is government assistance that was never meant to carry this much weight. This is not a warning about the future. This is the reality of America right now.
Over 42 million of Americans are at risk that their SNAP benefits will be cut off. Hi, my name is Fiorella Marquez, and I am the owner of the bilingual mental health therapy practice here in Arizona. I am not here to debate politics today, and I'm not here to argue or cut anyone's head off, but rather I'm here to offer help. I am offering to buy groceries for 2 families. If you know someone that's being impacted by this, or if you personally are being impacted by this, and you live in Maricopa County in Arizona, anywhere in Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria, Mesa, Gilbert, please let me know, and I personally will buy groceries and deliver them to your home. I wish I can do more than 2 families, but this is something that I am doing personally and it's coming out of pocket, and I'm hoping that this inspires other people in the community to do the same. We have to stick together and stand up for each other. Please let me know if you need help. Thank you.
1 in 5 kids in America is already food insecure, meaning they don't know where their next meal comes from. Come November 1st, when SNAP benefits get cut off, it's going to get a lot worse. SNAP benefits mostly help the elderly, children, the disabled, a lot of very vulnerable populations. So I say all this to say, November 1st, 1.4 million Ohioans are going to lose SNAP benefits, meaning 1.4 million Ohioans are going to lose the benefit that makes sure that they have food to eat. If you've been wanting to help, if you've been frustrated by the situation in our country, if you want to make your community better, and you are able to, now is a perfect time in a very real way to be able to impact someone's life and make sure that people have food on their table through the month of November and beyond, for however long this government shutdown continues and however long Donald Trump decides to withhold food from American people. First of all, if you need food assistance, if you need help putting food on your table, I just want to say there's no shame in that. There's no shame in needing help or asking for help. Our system is so broken. Number 2, if you are someone who cares greatly but doesn't have any extra time, doesn't have any extra money, can't afford to give any type of food aid, that is okay too. There's no shame in that. You can do really impactful things by sharing information, sharing accounts that are giving out accurate information, and sharing ways that other people who do have the resources could help. And if you are in the group of people who either have time, money, or both to give, there's so many ways right now to get involved. Please look at how you can either volunteer at your local food bank or give to your local food bank. If you don't know what to give, cash goes a long way. They can get more with cash than we can because they buy in bulk and stuff like that. So right now, if this is weighing on you, if you want to help your community, if you want to make sure kids in your area, adults in your area are going to have meals the month of November, please, I'm just kind of reaching out to you and saying, don't hesitate. Right now is a great time to get involved. If you haven't, if you're already helping, thank you so much. For those that maybe need the extra help, I just want to say findhelp.org is the place to go if you don't know where, if you're about to be one of those people who maybe doesn't know how they're going to get food on their table. Findhelp.org is the way to go. So we are going to be doing everything we can to help our communities, and we encourage you guys to do the same.
Dude, you know the system is rigged when you apply for food stamps for your children and you literally get accepted for $84 fucking dollars. You have 2 kids and yourself. But $84, what the fuck are you gonna get with $84? There's nothing. You can get like bread and milk. That's it. But they expect you to feed 2 children and yourself with $84 a month. It's ridiculous.
Hunger in America no longer belongs only to the unemployed or the visibly poor. It has moved quietly into the middle class, into households where people wake up early, work long hours, pay taxes, and still come home to empty refrigerators because their income simply cannot keep pace with the cost of survival. Families that once considered themselves financially stable are now counting calories, stretching meals across multiple days, and cutting portion sizes not for health, but for survival, as inflation steadily erodes their purchasing power month after month. What makes this crisis so disturbing is not just that food is expensive, it's that wages have stagnated while every essential expense has exploded at the same time, leaving families trapped in a permanent state of financial triage, constantly deciding what they can delay, reduce, or eliminate altogether. And food, tragically, has become negotiable.
Well, that's not good. I don't know how we're going to feed my family. My first paycheck for my job doesn't come in until the end of November. So, swell. I'm going to have to get real crafty on how we're eating because we have no money already. We're behind on our bills. We aren't getting any SNAP benefits because that's frozen now, and that's how I was feeding my family, which sucks. And it sucks for a lot of families out there. It sucks for a lot of families out there. And get this, most of the food that we eat is more expensive than typical because we have 3 allergies that if my partner were to consume them, she would have to go to the hospital. We can't have dairy, we can't have eggs, and we can't have gluten or wheat of any kind. So, yeah, like if we wanted to have mac and cheese, a very cheap, easy meal, 1 box of mac and cheese is $4 to $5 for us versus the like 60 cents or however cheap mac and cheese is, the normal mac and cheese, but we can't have that because she'd go to the hospital. So it's great. If anybody is in the same situation and you don't have these allergies, to check out Dollar Tree Dinners. She's great and has a lot of really good recipes for cheap. Unfortunately, we can't do that because most of the things from Dollar Tree either have milk or wheat in them, or eggs. But if you are in this situation where you have all these allergies, maybe I'll start making some tutorials to help other people out, because if I figure something out, it might help. Sorry, this isn't my normal cheery gaming nerdy stuff, but this is just, it's important, and it's important to get the news out there. So be safe, stay magical, my friends.
In just a few days, 42 million Americans, 42 million Americans, the majority of which are children, veterans, and individuals with disabilities, are going to be losing their resources of SNAP benefits. 42 million Americans. If you are living in the US and you have the availability to afford groceries and to buy groceries and to feed yourself, your children, and your families, that is a luxury. You are so beyond blessed because there are 42 million Americans in this country who do not have that blessing. And to lose their benefits in just a couple days is diabolical. Not only am I a social worker, I am also a single mother with one income, no support. I am also a human being who has empathy. And working with low-income families, not only low-income families, but foster care families and group homes and the homeless, it literally breaks my heart that in just a couple of days, basic human rights of being fed and eating are going to be taken away. So if you are a part of that bracket of, or that group of being able to afford groceries and feeding, again, yourself and your family without any struggle, then I highly, highly, highly encourage for you to donate to your local food pantry, because in a couple of days, that increase for resources is going to skyrocket. My heart breaks for this country, honestly.
For millions of American families, food stamps are no longer emergency assistance. They are the backbone of survival. What was designed as a temporary safety net has transformed into a long-term dependency, not because people lack ambition or effort, but because the economy has normalized the idea that full-time work no longer guarantees full-time survival. Families now plan their lives around benefit reload dates. Grocery trips are delayed until assistance arrives. Every item in the cart is carefully calculated, weighed against necessity rather than preference. Fresh food becomes a luxury. Protein becomes rationed. Nutrition becomes secondary to simply having something, anything, to eat. And when those benefits run out before the month does, families don't suddenly stop being hungry, they simply endure it. Inflation didn't just raise grocery prices, it fundamentally changed how families experience food itself. Food is no longer a daily certainty. It is a recurring source of anxiety, a constant calculation, a reminder that the cost of living has reached a point where even eating requires strategy. Families no longer ask what they want to eat. They ask what they can afford to eat. They substitute quality for quantity. They trade nutrition for calories. And slowly, without dramatic headlines, hunger becomes normalized. This is what happens when an economy allows food prices to rise faster than wages. Access disappears even while shelves remain full.
I live a good life. I benefit from this system, which is exactly why it pisses me off to see people exploited in this system. I have a home. I have a job. I go to university. I have food in my fridge. These are all things I'm immensely grateful for, which is exactly why I care so much about the people who do not have these things. Everybody should be outraged by the fact that there are people in this country living paycheck to paycheck. That there are people in this country who are genuinely in poverty, while there are people right now, as I speak, making thousands of dollars by the second. There is no reason for there to be homeless people on the street. We have more than enough vacant homes to house these people. But no, we only care about money. It makes complete sense why the rich and the 1% do not care about making life better for the average person. But I'm confused why we, the average American, are not more outraged by the fact that there are people being exploited and genuinely dying because of the current system, while we watch in our face thousands of people live lavishly at their expense.
This might be unpopular, but why do people keep having kids when they know they can't afford them? More and more, I see people having kids when they know they can't afford them and they're actually themselves struggling with life as it is. I know people that are in rent arrears, people that finance cars that they can't actually afford, and generally have massive life problems, and their biggest priority is having more children. I think you've got to be honest when it comes to having children, and you've got to sit down and really say to yourself, can I afford this child? And not just can I afford this child, but can I give this child a good quality of life? A lot of the massive problems we see in kids today, such as antisocial behavior, knife crime, and that sort of thing, stems from abandonment issues and people neglecting their children simply because they can't afford them. A lot of these things come from poverty. Now, life is hard, inflation is through the roof, everything is going up in price. I don't know why people want to burden themselves further by having a child that they know they cannot afford. So I think one of the first things you should do if you're thinking about having children is really set out a financial plan for that child. How are you going to pay for that child? How are you going to nurture that child? And do you have a good handle on how expensive things are and what you'll actually need? In my opinion, that is the absolutely bare minimum level of planning that should take place. But I think if more and more people were honest, they would understand that they can't actually afford a child, or having a child and bringing a child into the world is going to be detrimental to the quality of life that a child will receive. And I'm not advocating or saying that children are only for rich people, but I think people need to be honest with themselves when it comes to financial planning for their kids.
It's not just physical, it is psychological, emotional, and deeply destabilizing. Children struggle to concentrate in school, not because they lack discipline, but because their bodies lack fuel. Parents carry constant guilt, stress, and exhaustion, knowing they are doing everything they can and still falling short. Elderly Americans face impossible choices between eating and staying healthy. Hunger erodes dignity. It isolates families, and because shame keeps people quiet, the crisis grows unseen. This crisis is not accidental and it is not temporary. As housing costs consume more income, healthcare drains savings, and wages remain stagnant, food becomes the adjustable expense. The first thing families reduce, even though it should never be optional. Assistance programs were never designed to compensate for a broken cost of living structure, yet they are now expected to carry the burden of an entire economy that no longer prioritizes affordability for ordinary people. And as inflation continues, even assistance loses its power.
I'm just mad. I'm just fucking mad anymore. There's no reason for me to be like, yay, fucking America. Like, we're so great. We're so free. We're so powerful. I'm fucking starving. I have to go without so that my kid can fucking maybe have Pop-Tarts once a month. So I'll go without fucking eating something, right? It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't fucking be that way. We shouldn't have to go like, let's see, we haven't had meat in a long time, because guess what? We can't fucking afford it, okay? Nor do we want to go down and buy the, meat glue fucking meat at Walmart that, America just thinks that, we deserve, right? Because we're not worth anything. Because that's what I'm taking it as. We're just not fucking worth it. But yet we're the ones working every fucking day to make this country go round and round. But we're not worth being able to have decent fucking food, or the amount of food that we need to fucking have one of our family members go without. I'm done. I'm so done. It shouldn't be this way. And I know that it's not just this way for me. I called today because my garbage cans got picked up, right? Because guess what? Oh, couldn't fucking afford to pay the bill, So I'm like, hey, what do I have to do to get my garbage cans back? Like, I'm struggling. Like, I'm doing everything I can. I work hard, I can barely afford to fucking buy groceries. And she's like, girl, I hear you. Me too. Like, I feel bad, but I'm in the same boat. Like, it was immediately. Like, she wasn't like, oh, it was just like immediately, like, I'm right there with you. That's fucking terrible. We're working women in America that are working our fucking asses off. And we can't afford to fucking feed our kids or ourselves. We worry about putting gas in our fucking car to get to work that's not going to fucking pay the bills or the fucking groceries to eat. I've never in my life been unproud to be a fucking American, but today I am. Today when my kid fucking asked me for motherfucking Pop-Tarts, and I questioned whether or not I could get him the one thing he asked for all month long. Fuck you. Okay? Fuck this shit. Like, We don't deserve this. We don't deserve this. We fucking put in for our country. We pay our fucking taxes. We work our asses off from morning until night to go home and maybe fucking have an hour or two with our kids before we fucking go to sleep, and we get up and we work our asses off again to pay for your fucking wars and all of the fucking shit that you want to do with our fucking money that we put into this country. And we can't afford to fucking eat. So tonight, I'm fucking pissed. I'm mad. And I'm brokenhearted. Because I don't see no end to it. We've been begging. Like, this is not just started, like, since Biden administration. Like, yeah, it may have gotten a lot worse since inflation, but we've been struggling. We've been struggling like this. We just keep it quiet. We just don't say anything. It may have gotten a little worse, but it's been like this. It was like this in the Trump administration. It was like this in the Biden administration. We are tired of fucking working our asses off just to barely pay the fucking bills and maybe buy our kids a little fucking treat once a month. Food, like a food treat that they want. Fuck you. I'm so done. I'm sorry for the language, and like, I really am. But I don't have it no more. I don't have it no more. I don't have it to, make everything like seem like joyous, like, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's not fucking okay. It's not been okay for a long time. And we've just been saying that, what the fuck? We really don't say anything. We just keep it fucking hidden and put on a fucking brave face and go and do it every fucking day and then cry when we get home in fucking bed knowing that we're not going to make the fucking bills, and we're wondering if our PG&E is going to get shut off, and we're wondering how, we're going to feed the kids, not ourselves, But bitch, I ain't getting my fucking nails done. I ain't getting my fucking hair done. I ain't doing shit. I'm trying to worry about how I'm going to get my fucking garbage cans back. This is fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
Hi, Shannon here with Formerly Obedient, and I really, really did not want to make this video. And I know I may piss some people off, and I know I might lose some followers. And you know what? That's okay. I am a single mom. I don't get any help from the other parents. I have my teenage daughter, and her teenage boyfriend live with me. That's a long story, but it was a necessity. And I've been doing my best, working 2 jobs, trying to take care of them. Get a little bit of help from the government in SNAP benefits. And I'm not going to get them this month. We are already running out of food. We've been scraping by on what we can make with what we have. And it's going to be the first of the month, and that's not going to come. So, looking for food banks nearby, looking for resources nearby, and they're all really tapped out. So, my daughter's boyfriend asked his grandmother to help, and she stepped up in a really big way. She took the kids to Costco. She spent almost $350 in groceries for us so that we don't have to go stand in those lines and take those resources that someone else may not have loved ones that want to step up and help. When you look at people that use that SNAP card, that need that little bit of assistance, and you talk crap about them and you look down on them, think of me. Think of me. You've been watching me, you've been following me, you know what I'm about. And I will tell you what, I am not taking advantage of anything, but I needed some help. And that is why it's there. If you have any questions about that, or just comments, or you even want to come at me because you're mad about it, that's okay. Ask me anything.
I'm down a rabbit hole with my finances because that video where I was asking if you guys max out your 401ks or not kind of blew up. And I'm realizing that most of you are maxing out your 401ks. It's a bit surprising to me because I just didn't realize that everyone was doing that except for me. Now, I also recognize that maybe some of you misinterpreted what I meant about maxing out and thought that I meant maxing out to the amount that your employer matches. But what I mean about maxing out would be the $23,500, so $23,500 that you can contribute to your 401k this year, 2025. A lot of you guys were saying that you also max out your Roth IRAs. So what that is saying to me is that you're spending $23,500 on your 401k and $7,000 on your Roth IRA. And then if your spouse is also doing that, they're also maxing out $23,500 and $7,000, which means that you're spending $61,000 or saving $61,000 in your retirement accounts this year and every year. Seems like a lot of money to me. I don't know. So I sort of like put together a little bit of a diagram of like, okay, so say you have two people, they're both maxing out their retirement accounts. So you're spending $61,000 or putting $61,000 in those accounts, and you say you each make like $100,000, right? Like, let's do round numbers. Be that you then take home 140, 139 or so. But you didn't factor in taxes before that. So if you actually factor in taxes, then you're probably spending about 40 grand or so in taxes, actually. So if you think about it, you're saving about 60, you're spending about 40 in taxes or so, give or take, depending on the state that you're in, etc. So likely you are taking home 100,000 after taxes, after savings. And that's approximately, I mean, again, this is all like rounded numbers, but like call it $8,000 a month. And so you are then taking that $8,000 and paying maybe a mortgage. So maybe your mortgage is, I don't know, $4,000 a month or something. So there's half. So you're spending half on your mortgage, and then maybe you're spending, like if you're like me and spend a lot of money on food, $2,000 a month on food and $2,000 a month on childcare, which I know a lot of people spend a lot more than that on childcare. And even when your kids get older, like activities and things cost a lot of money too. So factoring that all in. So after a $4,000 mortgage, $2,000 food, $2,000 childcare, you're out. There's nothing left. Which got me thinking, I'm spending way more than I should then probably, right? So my mortgage is not $4,000. So maybe some people's are a little bit less. Maybe you're spending, so I'll call it $3,000 on your mortgage. I'm going to loop in all home things in that. So $3,000 for like mortgage, insurance, taxes, maybe you have HOA fees, maybe, you know, there's home expenses like you need to replace a toilet or, you know, fix a drain, or, you know, you need a plumber for something, an electrician for something, whatever. All of those expenses kind of go into your home costs. So you're still with me? You will also be probably spending money on a car, likely. So at least one car. I don't have any car payments at the moment, but like even just gas and parking and things like that, we rack up at least $500 a month on oil changes and other things like that. And not to mention anything that goes into the house. So like even just having like a Netflix subscription and, you know, different activities and things that we want to do. Maybe we want to go to the zoo one day with our kids. Maybe we want to, I don't know. I guess my conclusion is I think it's doable if you are actually making 200 grand a year, but you'd need to budget like really well, because I think that childcare expenses, things that are sort of like a must have, can add up really fast. Would it be helpful to see a full breakdown of these costs? So I think pay transparency is really important, but also like spending transparency, because I don't want to be like always keeping up with the Joneses. I want to kind of feel like not alone in that. I don't think everyone is keeping up with the Joneses as much as we think they are. So tell me your tips and tricks for sticking to a budget And I'm going to do a full breakdown for you of see if we can't relate that to each other.
America's hunger crisis is not unfolding with chaos, riots, or empty supermarket shelves. It is unfolding quietly, patiently, and invisibly inside millions of ordinary homes where families are slowly adjusting to a reality they were never meant to accept. A reality where hunger is no longer an emergency, but a routine, where assistance replaces stability, and where survival replaces dignity. This is what makes the crisis so dangerous. Not that food no longer exists, but that access to food has become conditional, fragile, and uncertain for a growing portion of the population, even as the country continues to call itself prosperous, even as political speeches celebrate economic strength, and even as the shelves remain full for those who can still afford to reach them. A nation cannot call itself successful when parents skip meals so their children can eat. A society cannot claim progress when full-time work still requires food assistance to survive. And an economy cannot be considered healthy when hunger becomes normalized rather than treated as an emergency. What we are witnessing is not just inflation, not just rising prices, and not just a temporary disruption. It is a structural failure, where wages have fallen behind reality, where the cost of living has outpaced human limits, and where safety nets are being stretched beyond what they were ever designed to handle. Food stamps were meant to be a bridge, not a destination. They were meant to help people recover, not help people endure permanent hardship. Yet today, millions of families are not crossing that bridge, they are living on it. And when assistance becomes survival, it changes how people experience life itself. It changes how parents plan their days, how children experience school, how families relate to food, and how hope slowly erodes as every month becomes a repeat of the last, with no clear path forward. This is not a crisis confined to one group, one city, or one income level. It is spreading upward, outward, and inward, from the poorest households to the working class, from the working class into the middle class, and from financial stress into emotional exhaustion. Hunger does not stay contained. It affects education, health, productivity, and mental well-being. It weakens communities, destabilizes families, and quietly reshapes the future. And perhaps the most unsettling part of all is how quickly this reality is becoming accepted. How phrases like food insecurity, benefit dependence, and budget meals have replaced outrage with normalization, as if struggling to eat is simply the price of modern life rather than a warning sign of systemic failure. Because when a country reaches a point where eating requires strategy, planning, and assistance, it is no longer dealing with inconvenience. It is dealing with collapse at a human level. This crisis will not resolve itself through patience. It will not disappear through silence. And it will not be fixed by telling families to work harder when many are already working as hard as they can. The question is no longer whether American families are starving. That reality is already visible to those willing to look closely. The real question is how long a nation can ignore quiet hunger before it becomes impossible to hide, impossible to manage, and impossible to reverse. Because hunger is not just the absence of food. It is the absence of security, the absence of fairness, and the absence of a future that feels stable enough to believe in. And if this continues unchecked, America will not just be a country where families depend on food stamps to eat. It will be a country where survival itself has been outsourced to assistance, where dignity has been replaced by endurance, and where the promise of prosperity has quietly expired for millions. This is not the America people were promised. This is not the America people worked for. And this is not a crisis that can be ignored forever. Because hunger may be quiet, but it is relentless. If this story resonated with you, it's because it's real. If it made you uncomfortable, it's because it's happening everywhere. Share this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us, because the truth about the cost of living, hunger, and survival in modern America is only getting harder to ignore.